Coming up on Network Africa. African Union leaders adopt resolution labeling slavery and colonialism genocide and crimes against the people of Africa at the just concluded AU summit in Addis Ababa. 3 suspects denied bail in murder of Nigerian e-hailing driver Isaac Satlat in South Africa as family pleads for assistance in bringing his body home. Plus, Nigerian Foreign Ministry warns citizens against enlisting abroad after reports of deaths in Ukraine's war. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. We begin with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
On the African Water Vision.
On Saturday, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed opened the 39th ordinary session of the African Union Assembly of Heads of State and Government in Addis Ababa. It comes after the bloc joined the G20 amid renewed concern over foreign influence in Africa.
Is indefensible.
AU leaders said they wanted to work with partners carefully while protecting Africa's right to self-determination.
Today, as Africa gathers at a defining moment, we recognize that our continent's most strategic asset is not only what we extract, but what we design, build, and govern. Progress is achieved when vision is translated into systems and ideas into lasting institutions. As we build on the African Water Vision 2025, we reflect on a simple truth.
Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in attendance, praised African leadership while urging greater influence on the global stage.
The absence of permanent African seats in the Security Council is indefensible. This is 2026, not 1946. Whatever decisions about Africa and the world are on the table, Africa must be at the table. Excellencies, these priorities inform the Pact for the Future, shaped by African leadership and the UN80 initiative to strengthen UN support to Africa and beyond.
Leaders met under the theme Assuring Sustainable Water Availability and Safe Sanitation Systems to achieve the goals of Agenda 2063. The summit brought together presidents, prime ministers, and international partners to tackle sustainable infrastructure. This year's 39th session ran from 14th to 15th of February 2026, putting Burundi in charge until early 2027. More evacuations continued in Morocco as authorities cleared out the northwestern city of Sa'el Kibir due to rising water levels. Submerged city streets are now deserted, while rainwater continues to flood local places. According to activist Elias Tala, the state deployed all available resources to Sa'el Kibir, moving into action under the kingdom's orders to shelter and support the city's population through a coordinated effort by every authority. Morocco's Interior Ministry reported that over 150,000 people had been evacuated from flood-threatened areas. The operations spanned the provinces of the Rash, Kenitra, Sidi Kassim, Sidi Slimane, with the majority of residents on Sa'el Kibir also leaving their homes as a precautionary measure. The ministry stressed that precautionary evacuations were ongoing and that all logistical assets had been deployed to ensure public safety. It warned of a possible deterioration in weather conditions and urged residents to avoid returning to affected areas until further official instructions. Still on Saturday, hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets of Dakar to protest against child abuse, homosexuality, and the deliberate transmission of HIV following the recent arrest of at least 14 people linked to a transnational pedophile network operating in Senegal and France. Footage shows citizens marching with banners and placards carrying slogans opposing homosexuality and the spread of HIV. The activists called on lawmakers to also vote for the law criminalizing homosexuality as promised during their election campaigns. The protest comes days after Senegalese police arrested at least 14 individuals involved in a transnational pedophile group that had been operating since 2017. Police reported the group was implicated in the rape of minors under 15, sodomy, and the intentional transmission of HIV/AIDS.
Let's get more from the African Union summit that concluded on Sunday. Leaders at the two-day meeting in Addis Ababa have adopted a resolution that describes slavery, deportation, and colonialism as genocide and crimes against the people of Africa. AU Chairman Mahmoud Ali Yusuf says the African Union has always considered colonialization and slavery as a crime against humanity. Member states agreed to designate November 30 as the African Day of Tribute to Martyrs and Victims of the Transatlantic Slave Trade, Colonization, and Apartheid. They also agreed to keep the issue under review and work together towards the recognition of the resolution at the international level.
Most of the deliberations and discussions took place in this hall with regard to peace and security on the continent, the reforms that we are trying to put in place for this organization, and at the end also the participation of the African Union to the G20. Of course, we received the reports of the assembly committees, which are presided over by heads of states. Agenda 2063 was one of them, the reports, or the NEPAD report, the AFCFTA report, and so on and so forth, and in particular also a report on the UN Security Council reforms and the demands of the African Union to have these 2 permanent seats with the right of veto and 5 non-permanent seats. The heads of state will have 0 tolerance for unconstitutional or unconstitutional change of governments on our continent. The conference also underscored its determination to silence the guns. This is also a very important program if we contemplate to develop this continent and create the integration conditions for our countries. We need to silence the guns. We need peace on this continent. We need stability on this continent, and we have a program for that. The conference really underscored the necessity and its determination to pursue the goal of silencing the guns. Because without reforming the way we are handling our security issue, peace issue, the way we are handling our economic challenges and trade-related affairs, I think it will be very difficult to reach the deliverables that we need to reach. And we all know that the Agenda 2063 is built on 5 pillars, which are the 10-year plans, and then divided in 5-year plans. And we launched the 2024-2028 5-year plan. And we would like to see better performance in terms of deliverables in the time frame of this 10-year plan.
And in line with working towards international recognition, Ghana said it will be representing the African Union resolution to the United Nations General Assembly later in the year and sees it as a crucial step towards reparations and formal apologies from nations that profited from the trade. President John Mahama says that this is about setting the historical record straight, returning stolen artifacts from Africa during the pillaging that took place in the period of the slave trade. President Mahama also urged member states to establish national reparation commissions to engage directly with former colonialists. The push has already gained traction beyond the continent, with support coming from Caribbean nations, Latin American allies, and from nations of the global south.
Since for the transatlantic slave trade, colonialism, and apartheid were designated as a flagship priority of our union. In line with that decision, I was entrusted with the mandate to serve as African Union champion for reparations. This is not merely a title, it's a solemn obligation to pursue truth, recognition, and justice for our ancestors and for generations yet unborn. At the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025, I announced that Ghana would lead the effort to table a resolution declaring slavery and the transatlantic slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity. That commitment marked the beginning of a structured diplomatic and legal process. I directed the Minister of Foreign Affairs to establish a high-level committee to coordinate consultations, refine the legal framework, and prepare a draft text consistent with international law and diplomatic practice. Today, I'm pleased to report significant progress. The initiative is firmly grounded in international law. Slavery is prohibited under international law as a peremptory norm, a jus cogens principle from which no derogation is permitted. The resolution builds upon this legal foundation and rests on three pillars. First is historical accuracy. Second is legal defensibility. And third is continental and diaspora alignment. We've ensured that the text of this resolution reflects rigorous scholarship, moral clarity, and diplomatic credibility. Ghana has undertaken extensive consultations to strengthen the resolution. We've engaged with the ECOWAS, we've engaged with UNESCO, the Global Group of Experts on Reparations, the Pan-African Lawyers Union, academic institutions, the African Union Committee of Experts on Reparations, and the African Union Legal Experts Reference Group.
The Pretoria Magistrate Court has denied bail to 3 suspects linked to the brutal murder of a Nigerian e-hailing driver, Isaac Satlat. A week ago, the 22-year-old was strangled to death after the accused requested an e-hailing service from him. The crime was captured on the deceased's dash camera of the car he was driving. The police launched a probe after the disturbing social media video depicting the murder went viral, showing the final moments of the driver identified as Isaac Satlat. The trio now face hijacking and murder charges. His murder has sent shockwaves across the country and also his home country, leaving his family distraught and heartbroken. The family is now pleading for assistance to return his body home. We'll have more on that story when we come back after the break. Plus, more stories from South Africa as well, where farmers battle deadly foot-and-mouth outbreak as government declares national state of disaster. Welcome back. Joining us now to speak more on Isaac Satlat's murder, and the family spokesman Solomon Asham joins us on the program. Solomon, thank you for speaking with us at this difficult time.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Good evening, rather, from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Right. How is the Satlat family coping with this loss? Let me first ask that as we express our condolences to you.
Thank you. The family is very broken. The father lives here in South Africa. So when it happened on Wednesday night, he had to go and see the body identified as his son in the mortuary on Thursday morning. And as soon as he identified his son, he was totally broken, and they had to admit him into a medical center because his blood pressure rose to about 238. So the family is totally broken. The dad hasn't watched the video yet, and he doesn't intend to watch the video. And it's definitely something that has really totally damaged them, and something that is, they're taking it very hard. And the family, the mother and the 2 siblings who are in Abuja, Nigeria, are also not really happy about it. They cannot imagine that that could happen to their son. Somebody who is very sociable, relatable, deals with people very, very well, Isaac is not a violent person. He's just somebody who has a great future and is looking forward to it. But then sadly, we saw what happened from the video.
Right. The Pretoria Magistrate Court has denied bail to the 3 suspects. Of course, their murder charges. How did the family receive that decision?
I was in court this morning at the Pretoria Magistrate Court. The dad, obviously, he's staying away from it because he doesn't want to relieve the whole pain. And I was in court, and there was a lot of support from local South Africans, certain political parties. They came to the court to support and sing and shout for justice for Isaac. The High Commissioner from Nigeria, Nigeria's High Commissioner was there, and also the Nigerian Union was also there. And as soon as we were sitting in court, 16, and the suspect came in, it really broke my heart. And to see that was totally like, why do you have to do that? A lot of some of his friends were crying in the courtroom, and they obviously were told what the charges are. So the family is very happy with the charges, especially the first charge, which is a premeditated murder, which in South Africa actually carries a life sentence, without any hope of parole, because it was the murder was planned. It wasn't something that just happened as an accident. So the family was happy about it. After the court hearing, I went down to give feedback to the father and just to tell him what happened in court. And we're going to be back again on the 23rd of February to hear if they want to apply for bail or not. But the suspects said they're not going to apply for bail. And I totally understand that, because their community are not happy about it, because of the way he was gruesomely murdered. The video is there for everybody to see, and it's trending all over South Africa, and it's so sad. And we just want to be able to say, as a family, to say, like, look, this is not a case of a hate against somebody who is Nigerian by South African. It was just a case of crime. We all know that South Africa struggles with crime, not just crime, but violent crime.
Right.
Violent crime. Just for a cell phone, you can lose your life. There are guns everywhere. You can buy a gun for something, for a very small price. So
right.
it's something that is a big problem for the government, and they're trying to deal with it, but I do not think they have a solution yet.
Right, and you said you've seen the video. Of course, you had to be able to, answer all these questions and other people's questions concerning this heinous crime. So what was the, motive behind the murder, according to investigations that are ongoing now?
Well, the motive, obviously, there's been some criminals actually target e-hailing drivers, whether you're driving Bolt or Uber, they target them to take their money, take their cell phone, hijack their car. So according to this investigation now, it's a case of hijack. So it's hijacking. And also, they didn't just hijack him, they took away his cell phones, his wallet, and some of his money. So those are the charges that are there. And that's the case. They will call you, they will call a ride, and as soon as you arrive, they ask you to take them to a certain place. But once they're in the car, they now bring out their firearm. They bring out a gun, and you have to do whatever they tell you to do. And they ask, they're going to ask you to drive to a certain destination. Whether probably they're going to throw you away out there, because they've done that to a couple of e-hailers. They throw you out there and then take the car away, or take your stuff and that kind of stuff. So that's been the situation from the case. But I must say something which a lot of people do not know. From what I heard from sources, legal sources, it has been said that one of the suspects is beginning to confess, to come clean. So which is a good thing. That way we're not going to have a long trial, and it's going to be, pain for the family. The family needs closure, and closure would be to be able to see and know that these suspects are in jail where they deserve to be.
Right, and Solomon, part of this closure is actually, getting to bury the victim, and you are pleading for assistance to be able to repatriate his body back home here in Nigeria. Has the family been in contact with the Nigerian authorities or the High Commission in South Africa? What level of support are you receiving, even from authorities in South Africa?
Yes, we've been receiving support, but nothing tangible yet. So we have the High Commissioner was there at the court. We're not sure what they're planning to do. We're not sure what the South African government is planning to do. But from our side, because I'm also from Plateau State, which is Jos, and Isaac is from Pangshing local government in Jos, Plateau State. And we have an association of Plateau indigenes in South Africa. We've raised about 20,000 rands right now. And I also, myself, being the president of Plateau Indigenes in South Africa, I created a page, a fundraising page called Bakabadi. It's a South African page where you can raise fund. You know, it's very popular here. You can raise fund there. I created it on a Friday, and the target was 70,000 rand. And right now we're sitting on a little over 40, you know, in just like 3-4 days. So it's looking good. We received quotations from the funeral parlor and the cost for repatriating his body. So as soon as we get that, and whatever support we receive from the government or from individuals or from the Nigerian High Commission or the government, we know that, you know, even if we do not get support from them, we have enough money to take his body back home and to bury him in, the parents want him to be buried in Chip, which is a village in Pangshing local government in Plateau State. And that would bring closure, like you said. His siblings hadn't seen him for a couple of years. His mother haven't seen him for a couple of years. And the last time they spoke to him, he was alive, and now he's gone. So right. I think it would be good for them to see him, even though in a coffin or in a casket. It would be good for them to see him and just to be able to bring closure.
Right. Solomon, thanks again, and condolences to you and his family.
Thank you.
We're staying in South Africa, where farmers across the country are battling a spreading foot and mouth disease outbreak that is killing livestock, which has prompted President Cyril Ramaphosa to declare a national state of disaster last week. In Humansdorp, distressed farmers inspect dead cattle while others watch helplessly as infected animals weaken. Municipal teams are digging mass burial pits, vaccination drives are underway, and checkpoints have been set up to disinfect vehicles in a bid to contain the virus. Kruger municipality says movement restrictions are critical, warning that both people and animals can carry the disease. Authorities stress that while the outbreak poses no direct threat to humans, farmers must take responsibility for protecting their herds as government rolls out support, including South Africa's first locally produced vaccine in more than 2 decades.
It's very weird, and it's uncomfortable for you to see, if you relate it onto your animal, to see how does it look. It looks very bad. In his mouth, his tongue, there's holes in his tongue, his teeth are crumpled up. It's bad, it's looking bad. I've seen it the first time, and I don't want to see it again, because it doesn't look nice. So if you can avoid this thing from your animals, please do it, and be careful for this disease. We're gonna bury 2 cows today with the TLB machine. I'm just waiting for the machine. The municipality, they help us with the machine, and they dig a hole and put the animals in there and close it up. Then we know those are buried safely with this disease. Then after that, we're gonna go through that camp and try to vaccinate the whole camp. It hurt us all. But the thing that we must keep in mind is always to be strong and keep focus on what is forward, not behind you. Keep your eyes onto the Lord, and we all pray for a better tomorrow.
we have huge industrial farmers in the Koga area that are actually exporting milk. We've got Woodlands Dairy, our main factory, that could be affected in their economy with this disease. So it is important that we contain it right there. And we're all taking hands to make sure that this disease don't spread any further. I'm not even saying any further than Humansdorp, because in Humansdorp you have the KwaNomzamo area and you have the other farmers surrounding right up to Oyster Bay.
Nigeria's foreign ministry has issued an urgent warning over what it describes as the growing illegal recruitment of its citizens into foreign conflicts. The alert follows reports from Ukrainian officials who say the bodies of 2 Nigerians killed in combat last year were recently discovered. In a statement, spokesperson Kimibi Imotimi said that several Nigerians were misled with the promises of lucrative jobs, security work, education, or migration opportunities, only to be coerced into signing military contracts and deployed into active war zones. Officials say some victims signed documents in foreign languages without legal guidance, while others had their passports seized on arrival. Intermediaries are also accused of facilitating travel on tourist or non-military visas. He cautioned Nigerians against accepting such offers, emphasizing that they not only endanger lives but may also violate Nigerian and international laws concerning mercenary activities and foreign enlistment. And finally, on the program, did you know that Tunisia, the northernmost country in Africa, is a North African nation with a rich Mediterranean history, serving as home to the ancient city of Carthage and boasting of 1,300 kilometers of coastline, famous for being a Star Wars filming location. It's a major producer of olive oil, features Sahara desert landscapes, and was the birthplace of the 2011 Arab Spring. That's the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Joke Rogers.